Imagine this. Two 20-year-olds start adult life on the exact same day. Same country, same salary, same opportunities. But there's one tiny difference. Every single day, one of them spends $5 on random things. Coffee, snacks, delivery fees, impulse purchases. The other invests those same $5 instead. 40 years later, the gap between them becomes enormous. And honestly, most people completely underestimate how insane that gap really gets. Today we're going to calculate something surprisingly simple. What happens if you invest just $5 a day for 40 years? No business, no lottery, no crypto moonshots, just $5. And the scary part is, most people could actually afford this. But almost nobody stays consistent long enough to see the real result. The reason this experiment sounds boring at first is because $5 feels tiny. It doesn't feel life-changing. $5 is one coffee, half a fast food meal, a random app subscription, or something you barely remember buying tomorrow. And that's exactly why small spending is dangerous. Because humans don't emotionally react to small losses. Nobody thinks, wow, this coffee destroyed my financial future. But the problem isn't one coffee. The problem is repetition. Tiny decisions repeated thousands of times quietly become massive. Let's do the basic math. $5 every day equals $35 per week, around $150 per month, and about $1,825 per year. Over 40 years, 1,825 times 40 equals 73,000. That's $73,000, already more than most people expect. But here's the thing. $73,000 is only the no investing version. And this is where everything changes. Now imagine investing those $5 instead. Historically, the stock market averaged roughly 7% yearly returns long term. And this is where compounding becomes almost unfair. Because in the beginning, it looks completely unimpressive. After 1 year, almost nothing. After 3 years, still tiny. Even after 10 years, many people would quit because the progress feels slow. But then something strange happens. The money starts making money. And then that money starts making money too. So growth begins accelerating faster and faster over time. At first the curve moves slowly. Then suddenly, it bends upward, aggressively. And after 40 years, those tiny $5 investments could become $250,000, or even more. Not because you became a genius investor, not because you got lucky, but because time did most of the work. Now, here's where this becomes real. Because $250,000 sounds abstract, but in real life, that amount could completely change someone's future. It could. Buy a good home in many cities, create nearly $1,000 per month in passive income, massively help your children with education, cover emergencies without panic, or allow someone to retire years earlier. And remember, this started with $5. Not a huge salary, not rich parents, not some secret financial trick, just consistency. That's what makes this so powerful. Now let's be honest, most people are spending $5 a day already. Actually, probably much more. The problem is the spending feels invisible. Subscriptions, food delivery, random Amazon purchases, energy drinks, mobile games, convenience spending. Individually, none of them seem dangerous. That's the trap. Because financial destruction usually doesn't happen dramatically. It happens quietly, little by little, year after year. Until one day people suddenly wonder, why do I have nothing saved? And honestly, the hardest part isn't math, it's psychology. Humans are terrible at thinking long-term. Our brains naturally prioritize comfort now, pleasure now, convenience now. That's why people constantly say, "I'll start later." But later becomes next month, next year, after the next paycheck, after the next promotion. And suddenly, decades disappear. Meanwhile, compounding quietly rewards the people who simply started early, even with tiny amounts. So, what happens if you invest $5 a day for 40 years? Mathematically, you could end up with hundreds of thousands of dollars. But psychologically, something even more important happens. You stop living completely for today and start building for the future. And over decades, that difference becomes enormous. Because wealth is rarely created by one giant decision. It's usually built through thousands of small decisions, repeated consistently for a very long time.